It's been a long time coming.
I think I'm ready. Sometimes it's tough following your own advice. I know carving your own path is the smart and healthy way to proceed as a filmmaker, but sometimes you also, you have those off days where you feel like nothing you do quite matters, and I know it does, but nihilism is all-consuming. It's tough to ignore. I was supposed to head to the St. Patrick's Day river dine. I didn't go. And it's no one's fault, I didn't have it in me. Does that make me an introvert? I'm just not in the mood today. And even though I have to work on this next video, that's the last thing I want to do. So I wrap myself up, ignore the world, and try to sink into my self-loathing thoughts. And then I realized that was cringe, so I turned on a comedy to feel better. And right then and there, it hit me. I feel like so often we're cornered into trying to solve problems with the wrong resources. Or craving something so bad we're forced to consume the next best thing. Because what we really need simply doesn't exist. And as a creative, that's my superpower. As a kid, I wanted to be an astrophysicist, travel to the stars, and the tech seemed light years away, so what could I do instead? Watch Star Wars? Or I can write it. Issue is, it seems like Disney couldn't even manage to write a good Star Wars movie, so what chance do I have in writing my own movies? Disney has thousands of employees, hundreds of writers, and I just have me. Well, first off, that might be the best thing I have going for me. Alright, to show you why, I have to tell you why Hollywood seems to be writing flop after flop. From films like Uncharted, The Rise of Skywalker, Quantumania, and recently Madam Web, they all seem to come down to three things, and in my not so humble opinion, it all comes down to the last thing. Lack of time, loss of individual voice, and profits over care.
You know, people always say, write what you know. And when I was in high school and I felt like I didn't know anything, the best thing that would help me in my writing was when I'd call up my buddy and I'd say, hey, let's make some dad lore. And we'd just go do a bunch of random shit, live life, and whether I wrote about that moment or something that I came up with as the brain juices were flowing and I was having fun, that always seemed to work for me.
What's up? Do you think I own snow pants? I'm 22 years old.
So I already introduced the fact that we used to go out a lot, genuinely to be like, hey, I don't know what the fuck to write about. So today, what's that?
I just wanted to go sledding. I mean, I have to write like a whole piece about me as a younger kid talking to my older self. But, you know, I just wanted to go sledding.
Yeah. You think we could do this?
I think we could do this.
Let's do it.
It used to be
It's freaking
like
steep.
prairie down there. I used to not be too worried about, going back there because you just hit, like wheat and shit. Now, like
You're gonna go in the water.
Here goes nothing, I guess. Oh, he's sending it. Never mind, he's not sending it. It's sending him.
We didn't slide.
I'm gonna try the next one. We're out of breath because we just saved a toddler. He was getting kidnapped.
Alan did a somersault.
And a kickflip. I brought my skateboard out of nowhere. We're trying another hill because this one sucked. Alright, so what are you working on, Gabe?
Working on my capstone film for college.
Coolidge. Check for Coolidge.
I'm like about over halfway through it, but I'm like getting stuck on how I want things to wrap up.
And then what about like writer's block? Yeah, what do you do for that?
I go sledding. I just break it up and I write when I.
All right, let's go combat this brain fog. No, fuck, whatever. Let's go combat this writer's block in another park. It's no secret that we haven't seen many mid-budget movies in recent years. Take a look a few decades back, and it's no big deal seeing studios give newer writers and directors a chance. But today we only really see them distributed by A24. What's even less surprising is that this trend really picked up speed after the recession. Why? Well, a 2009 study by SNL Kagan gave studios the confidence that they needed to, as one says, put all their eggs in the superhero basket.
The study showed that movies from 2003 to 2008 that had budgets of around $90 million tended to yield the highest profits. In fact, those with $100 million budgets tended to yield around $247.3 million in profits. Any lower than that, and, well, your profit would usually be cut in half.
Come on, this is. Oh, that's good, right?
Well, part 2, right?
Let's do it.
All right.
You know, and when studios found the cheat code to doubling their profits, of course they made the smart move. They slowed down. They gave this money to filmmakers, artists, and crews to handle with care, you know, to take their time and slow down. Yeah, that didn't happen at all. Instead, it meant Hollywood demanded more movies, bigger scopes, more employees, less play between them, and an even shorter a time frame. Look, art is never best when it's rushed, and that includes writing too. Not only does that mean less revisions, but original ideas are thrown to the curb to serve up already existing and developed IP. Because why take the time to flesh out strong, interesting, complex characters when you could take a surface-level exploration of already existing beloved characters? The worst part is that the boomers in charge think that our attention span are deteriorating so much that if we don't see an explosion every 10 seconds, that we'll just stop watching.
The reality is far worse. And just because I enjoy my occasional healthy dose of Skibbity Toilet doesn't mean that I can't watch a movie without subways. I do not judge Skibbity Toilet. It is a cinematic masterpiece with several layers of sociopolitical subtext you couldn't even fathom. So the reality is far worse. Just because of that doesn't mean I can't watch movies. It means I can't watch bad movies. It's the modern studio movie's lack of attention to its plot and writing that's losing our attentions.
You're left-handed? I am left-handed. Know each other's words. I knew that.
Mostly I want to talk about like our writing process and what helps us get out of writer's block. Firstly, we just did it. The first step, just do something dumb but like fun.
Yeah.
As we say, get dad lore, or to experience something that we haven't. Because I feel like even if we don't write about that specifically, it gives us more ideas.
The hardest part for me is when I try to force something. When I relax, when I like try to rest, it's not actually me resting because I'm just always thinking about how I should be doing other stuff.
Yeah.
I think that just contributes to writer's block, because when you try to rest because you know you can't, because you have writer's block, but while you're resting you can't rest because all that's just like this whole repeating cycle, and just it eats away at you a bit. Finding the real things that make you happy and make you calm, that's the best way to get out of a funk. I think it's hard to talk about, you know, what works for us, what doesn't, because I feel like every day I'm trying something new.
At least for me, I feel like I can't do this writing thing without trying new things. Doing something that feels a little uncomfortable so that I get a little more comfort in the back end, I guess.
When studios today are spending an average of $100 million per movie, it's no surprise that they're acting more risk-averse. It's a big investment. And while they're statistically more likely to double their profits, it doesn't negate the fact that it's still a shitload of money. And when they spend that shitload, they demand control and heavy oversight of that shitload. This means when the movies are developed, their main goal is to cater to the widest audience possible. Think of it like the illegal fishing practice of bottom trawling. They cast out a massive net to catch as many fish as they can, and sure, they'll catch a lot of fish, but they're also going to catch a shitload of rocks, coral, and shit too. This heavy oversight means that the only voice we ever hear over the cacophony is the studios. The writers and directors disappear. In fact, even with massive writing teams and dozens of writers on payroll, they're all still forced to write from the guidelines given by the studio executives. I feel like the best movies I've seen, and this includes existing adapted IP, they always come from original and unique voices. You could tell the writers cared about what they were writing about. They lived it. They loved it, and they were passionate about it. When you have the freedom to write new and transformative screenplays, that's where you get new and transformative movies from. That's where you get Oscar winners from.
And instead of making one $200 million movie, try making 20 $10 million movies.
Also, I just feel like it comes out to whatever comes next, you write it down so you can write it in a screenplay or keep track of a conversation. I think if you let your life be dictated by how you can turn that next thing into the next scene in your movie. But when people live their entire lives dictated by the idea that, you know, they have to transform it into art, I think it becomes more of a hindrance and more of a like shackle.
Like, if you're thinking about writing while you're going through life, you're not living life.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned from therapy these last couple of years is that useless time doesn't mean it's necessarily useless. Like, time you spend relaxing, time you spend goofing off, like, even though we didn't make, you know, a new client today, we didn't sign a new person, I think it's still time worth, you know, spending.
What I think I want the takeaway for this video to be, it has been tried and tested, is that the best stories come from not trying to make stories, but just taking aspects of your unique voice and your unique, perspective. And that doesn't mean like, all right, today we're gonna make a movie about Mexicans. No, that means like, hey, I happen to be Mexican and I have a story to tell. I am a college grad. That also represents me. We all hold different identities, but I'm positive if we're authentic and we share our voice, that there are other people listening.
I'm not necessarily saying that writing teams don't help or are bad. You should always be sharing your work with others to discuss what's good and not. But at the end of the day, you have the vision and you know what's best for your film. Everyone has a different method they preach to create the best stories. Some go to a bar, others listen to music, some even steal like the artists before them. So while I'm no expert, I know for a fact that the winning formula includes a dash of time, a pinch of experience, and a whole lot of you.